So we learned about before business rule, after business rule, and difference between after and async, right?
Yes,
So
Sunil.
yeah, I'll tell you other business tools as well now. So we were looking at async business rule. Async business rule prevents users from freezing their screen. So, uh, like they can make user experience better if you use async business rule for any heavy operations. Okay. So in async business rule, first database operation will happen. Then async business rule will run asynchronously after updating the database. Okay. So we have display business rule as well. Okay. So display business rule will execute when the form loads. Okay. So whenever the form has been retrieved from the database and it's shown on the form as a form, then display business rule will be running. Okay. They must complete execution before control of form is given to the user. That means, so first display business rule will be running, and then only the form will be displaying to that particular user. The purpose of display business rule is to populate an automatically instantiated object, which is G underscore scratchpad object. Okay. So in display business rule, what we will do is we will be storing G underscore scratchpad in display business rule, and that particular G underscore scratchpad we can use in the client side scripting. Okay, so I'll show you an example where they have used display business rule. Table is incident and then it's display. So here we are storing the sketchpad. So for example, a logged in caller ID is VIP user or not in order to know. So generally what we need to do if we want to know from the client side, we have to use a client ajax. But with the help of display business tools, what we can do as business tools are server side, whatever the information which we want unload of the form, we can store it in G underscore scratchpad, and that particular scratchpad we can use in the client side. Okay, so this is a display business tool. So whenever assign to user is not empty, then we are storing is assigned to user is VIP or not. Okay. So here how we are storing G underscore scratchpad dot is VIP. So in the assigned to dot VIP means assigned to is a user table. In the user table there is a field called VIP which will be true or false. So that particular field value we are storing in this G underscore scratchpad dot is VIP. Okay, so we'll know where they are using in the client side this one. Okay. So I want to check for is VIP, right? So here what they are doing is first they are checking is there any caller ID or not, and if there is any new value not written, then they are returning it. Means caller ID should be there, and on change of caller they are calling this particular script, which is on change of caller ID. Okay. So here they are checking is VIP true, means assigned to is true or not. So here they are checking for assigned to, and here they are adding on caller ID. Okay. So here they are doing some decoration for caller ID field. Okay, I'll just check if it is working or not. So here they are using that particular G underscore scratchpad dot is VIP. Okay, T is VIP. Then they are highlighting using the decoration using star icon. Okay. First we will check who are the VIPs. The user table. This user is VIP, Gerard. Okay. If you go to incident, so if I select Gerard, here I'm getting VIP icon. Okay, so it might they might have done some scripting for it. So likewise, they are getting the data of is VIP or not. Actually, they are getting for assigned to, but here as well they might be doing in some other scripts. Okay. So here you can even see there is one more business rule where they are storing the incident values in the state. Like for example, we might not know what is the state value of in progress or on hold or resolved. Okay. So and we might even change these numbers in future. So in order to handle that, what ServiceNow suggested is to have a script include. Okay, for example, if you see G underscore scratchpad dot incident state is new JSON dot encode incident state. So you might be wondering from where this incident state is coming. So it is a script include where from which it will store the all the states. Okay, with their values. Okay, so if we just say incident state dot incident state dot new. Okay, so here we are getting the actual value from incident state SNC. So where we are defining for new one in progress two. Okay, so this is the way how we should do all these things, so that we don't have to remember what is the value, and even in future if any value gets changed, there will be a single place where we have to change these things. And even in the client side, in order to use these field values, what we are doing, we are storing in them in the scratchpad. Okay, and we are using in the client side in order to set the states and all. Okay, so that is the use of display business rule. And so when this display business rule execute is whenever the farm data gets queries. So before actually loading the form to the user, this display business rule will run. Then the client scripts will run. Then the form will be visible. Okay. So if you see, so there might be n number of business rules. So first we will see how this process runs. Okay. First, whenever user hits on incident.list, or whenever he tries to open any of the record. Okay. So then first query business rules will be running. So okay, because generally,
Sunil,
yeah,
sorry for interruption. So for that business rule which you told, you said that you will be using on onload, right? On the client side.
yes,
So we will not be able to use it for on change.
we can use.
We can use
So
it.
what happens is whenever whenever the data gets queried, display business rules will be running. Okay. So those values will be stored in the client side. Okay. So in the client side, after that, client scripts will be running. So the client scripts will be able to use the G underscore scratchpad values.
Okay.
Okay. So there are multiple business rules. So we have to know which business rules runs first and which doesn't. Okay. So whenever user types incident.list or opens any record, first query business rule will be running, which will be in the database. Okay. So for the database, whichever the query it is there, that will be passing. Okay. So before that, why we will be using query business rule and how we can use, we'll know. So yeah. So the query business rule is before query, it will be running. So before actually querying the data from the database, from here we will be passing a query to the database, which all the records we need. Okay. So here, if you see in the conditions, Okay, so we are calling the function restrict incidents. Okay, where we are checking if user doesn't have ideal role or if user doesn't have read access, and the user should be interactive. Means is interactive means if actually any user opened the form, or is it getting queried from some REST API or through some glide record. So if actually users open the form, is interactive will return true. If anyone using glide record or if anyone using REST API to get the data, is interactive will return false. Okay. So here what we are trying, if user doesn't have ideal role or incident read access, okay, then do not restrict incidents. Okay, so then we are not, so the if is not there. Okay, like if ends here. Okay, but if they don't have ideal role or if they don't have read access to the incident, then what we are doing is we are checking few things like some plugin is active or not. Okay, and here what we are doing, we are here if you see, we are getting the user ID of the current logged in user, which will be user sysid, and here we are adding add query where caller ID is me, means the incident should be opened by me or or opened by me. Okay, caller ID is me, like it is opened for me or opened by me. Caller ID means it's opened for me, and opened by field is also there. So either one of these me or in the watch list I am contained. So if any of these conditions matches, only those records will be visible to the users. Okay. So this query will be getting passed. Okay. So only those records database will be sending us. So we can only see those records. Okay. For example, I'll show you one of the example. So for example, let's see what access Joe employee has, if he is an ideal user or not. Then we'll impersonate him and check. So Joe employee doesn't have any roles. Okay. If I impersonate him, and if I refresh this, so as of now we have 42 active incidents, right? 42 active incidents. If I refresh, I'm able to see only 7 now. Why? Because he doesn't have ideal role and he doesn't have incident read access. So if I open any of the incidents, either he should be a caller or he should be opened by or he should be in the watch list. Okay. Why we are able to see only 7 records? Because there is before query business rule is running, where it is querying only few details. Okay. Is there any doubts here? So whenever you want to use before query business rule, you have to pass the query. So the last statement, whichever is there, right, it will return an encoded query from which it has to get the records. Okay. So like what query should apply to that particular table whenever it retrieves the data. So here we are putting an if condition if it doesn't have ITL role or incident read access, and if user opens the record, then we have to add that query before querying the data. Okay. So here first query business rule will run, and then it will be querying the data. By applying that particular query, it will get the data from the database. Then actual, so as we are writing before query business rule, okay, before query. So actually before querying the data, this query will be passed to the database, and then database query will be happening. So then after querying the data, display business rule will be running. Okay. So once the form is visible to us, whenever user clicks on any UI action or submit button or saves the form. Okay, then first before business rules will be running, then we will be updating the database. Then we will be running the after business rules and then async. Okay. Is there any doubt in this particular sequence? Any confusion? First, first query, then display, then before and after. Okay. Any doubts? I'm considering no. So I'll tell you few examples. So quick examples I'll give. So already I have given one example for before business rule, right? So where I was now, if it is there or not, I don't know. But in this itself, I have written before we are. So if you remember, I was so in the when to run condition, first before insert or update, and what I was doing, I was getting whatever the display value of assignment group, and I was getting short description, and in the description field, I was showing what is the assignment group and what is the short description by adding these two. So whenever we write before business rules, we use current dot field name and the value. We don't have to use current dot update in this particular business rule. If we use that, it will be running infinitely. Okay, it will be running recursively. Okay, to avoid like if there is any requirement to update that, then we have to use uh, one function. Like generally we don't use current dot update because it runs before updating so that it will update. Okay, so we shouldn't use that. If we use current dot update, what happens? It will run again the before, because we are updating the form, it will run again. Okay, as it runs again before business rule will run, and again update will happen. So it will continuously recursively it will run. Okay, so whenever we write current dot update or gr dot update in any business rules, so there will be one function called set workflow false. What it does? Set workflow false. enables or disables running of business rules and script engines. When disabled, okay, inserts and updates are not edited. Oh, okay. So if you write set workflow false, it won't run these scripts again and again. So ideally we shouldn't write. Even if you write, you should use set workflow false. Okay. Okay, any doubts in this before business rule? We have to use current dot field name before business rules we'll be using if you want to update the same fields. Okay. And after business rules we'll be using whenever we want to update the records of any other related records. Like if you are on incident, if you want to update problem, then we'll be using after business rules. Okay. So let me show this particular example where I am trying to update the description. Okay, for example, updating something. If you check, the description will get changed now. What it became, assignment group I got and the short description I got. So whenever you want to update the fields on the same record, because we are on the incident and we want to update some field of incident, then we have to use before business rule. Okay, when we will use after business rule, I'll show you. After business rule, for example, we are an incident and we want to update user's location or user's email ID or problem record or something else which is related to this incident, some other records. Okay. For example, whoever is in the watch list, I want to add to group members of the current group. Okay. For example, there is a watch list field, right? So whenever anyone gets added to this watch list field, okay, I want to add it to group member. I want to add as a group member. Okay. So as we are updating this particular, we want to update the watch list member to assignment group member. Okay. So here we are updating some other record, which might be this record. Okay. We want to update this group member, which is this user gr member table. Okay. So how we can do that, I will see. So what it does, add watch list member to group. So here first I have to check. So let's remove this code. Okay, first we have to check whether we want two values. Watch list shouldn't be empty whenever we want to update. So I want to check watch list shouldn't be empty and group shouldn't be empty. Assignment group shouldn't be empty. So then what I'll do, I have to update the users. Okay, first before updating, we will check whether the watch list member is already there or not. Okay. So first we will get the watch list. So if you get, so if I want, I'll show you how we'll be getting the data as well. For example, able tutor is there, and I want to add one more. For example, Joe employee. Okay. For example, I have saved this. If you see watch list, so it is comma separated sysids of the user. Okay, the first user and second user, because it's a list type, glide list type. Okay, so first I'll get the watch list members. Current dot watch list. So I got the watch list. Now I want to have the group name, group sysid here. Current dot assignment group. Okay, so we have group sysid and watch list. So I want to glide this because I want to add the users in this if these users are not present. So first I want to check whether the user is present or not. Okay, so how I can check, like first let's glide it where group has member. So we'll be using new glide record. Group has member dot add query. So here we have to give the group sysid in the group field. So group is group sysid. So that is the query. So we can use we are using add query, so that we have to use group comma group sysid. Okay. So after this we can use group has member dot query, so that here we will be getting all these members. Okay, so whenever we are querying here, so first before inserting, what we should do is we can check whether, like for example, we'll try to check if the user gets add. For example, if I try to add again the able tutor, if it accepts or not, I'll check. Okay. So it is getting error with duplicate entry because able tutor is already present. It's not taking. Still, we don't want to insert. So that what I'll do is I'll check whether the user is already present or not. For that, I'll get all the users who are present, and if the user is not present, then only I'll insert those. Okay. So first I'll do, I'll loop through this and I'll get the sysids. While group has member dot next. So I'll have existing users. Okay. Existing members array, one array I'll create, and in this array I'll push all the existing users. Dot push group has dot value of user. So I'll get all the users sysids. So here whenever I am trying to insert, so here I have the values of existing members and I have the watch list members. Okay, if user is not present in existing, then only I have to insert. So what I'll do here, I'll loop through each of the watch list member and check if he is present in existing member. If he is not present, then only I'll insert it. So first, what I'll do, I'll loop through the watch list to check each of the member is present or not. If he is present, then insert. If he is not present, like if he is not present, then insert. If he is present, then leave. Okay. So for that, in order to loop, I'll use for loop. So where I equals to 0, I less than watch list. So here, in order to loop, it should be an array. Okay. So let me convert this to array. Okay. So in order to convert, I have to split this by comma. This is a string. So in order to convert, I have splitted this with comma in order to loop it. Okay. So this watch list. So can we do any other way? Like for example, what we can do is user, instead of doing this way, can even check user. So first we'll do this, then we can try any other way. But so my approach is here. First, I am getting all the existing members, and then what I'm doing, if in the existing members, if it is not there, then just insert it. Okay. So watch list dot. We don't need to string now, so we are iterating. Then I plus plus. Here we have to use watch list dot length. So here first uh, we have to check if the current user is present or not. Okay. So how we can check, group has member dot index of watch list members. Okay. So watch list of 0, 1, 2, 3 will be in I. So, so if it is -1, that means it is not present. Okay. If it is -1, the watch list member is not present in group member. Then we have to insert it. So we have to write a glide record in order to insert it. Okay. For example, so here we are trying to insert dot group is group sys. So here we will be having the group sys. Here we have the group sys. User is the watch list member. Any doubts in this particular code? Any doubts? So I took the watch list and I converted into array. Okay. Here I am trying to get the existing members into an array. Then what I am doing, checking each of the watch list member. If he is not part of that particular group, then insert it.
So
For
Sunil,
example,
-1 indicates that the person is not part of that group.
yeah, so the index of function will return -1 if he is not present. Okay, if he is,
Okay.
so the index of means, so it will look for the index of this watch list
Mhm.
value in this group. If he is
Okay.
present, then it will return that particular index. Either it can be 0 or 1 or 2. If it
Yes.
is present, if it is not present, then it will return -1. So only if it returns -1, then I want to insert it.
Okay,
Okay.
Sunil.
So now the group is app engine admins. So there is able tutor user. So here there is Joe employee, and I want to insert one more user. For example, Sam. Okay. So now these three people should be in the group. So let me check. So it's not working. That means something might be issue with the code. Okay. So how we can check if there are any issues? So let's copy this code and we'll check from the background script. So here we have to get, so here there won't be any current. Okay. So current is a glide record of any record. So I'm just getting the current by gliding the incident, new incident, new glide record incident. Current dot get and take the sysID, copy sysID. So let's write some logs. So I got existing members. The existing is only one user is there who is able tutor, but while inserting, I didn't get. So that means let me check what is the watch list contains. Okay. Watch list currently has 3 members. Watch list dot length, I'll check. Watch list length is 3. That is also correct. Index of function The index of is also correct. Group has member if it is equals to -1. What is the index it's returning? Let's check. It is saying undefined. Means group has member. Okay, so we didn't declare it here, or what is it? So group has member, I have declared there. Okay. So so I have to take the existing members is ID, but I am taking group as member. So this is the array. Existing members is the array, but I am taking group as member, which is a glad record. Okay. So I should check from existing members. Okay. So let's check existing members now. Okay. So if I try to run it, so now it has inserted two records. And if I check now, the two users got inserted. And I'll change the same code here as well. Now I'll recheck again by adding few more users. For example, I'm adding Samantha. Okay. So if I refresh, Samantha is there, right? So now it's working. So just go through this code once here and let me know if you find any difficulty, if you are not able to understand anywhere. Just go through this code and tell me if you are not able to understand it at any place. Okay. I'll stop recording.